Hello, my name is Elizabeth Alvarez, and today I'll be presenting the design proposal of didactic activities for homonymy teaching in the book Complete First for Schools from Third Year's English of Mid-Higher Education in Ángel Matute Vidal School. The following work deals with an investigation regarding a proposal of didactic activities for the comprehension of the semantic phenomenon of homonymy, especially homophony, directed to third-year high school students of the Ángel Matute Vidal School, because the workbook of this group does not cover this semantic topic throughout the vocabulary lessons, nor the identification of homophones in everyday conversations. Therefore, the purpose of this research is to help learners to comprehend, identify, and use homophones appropriately. The Ángel Matute Vidal School is a private, religious, educational institution founded in 1948 that is dedicated to the human and Catholicism, teenagers, and children formation through the teaching and multiple social works. This institution counts with the educational levels from elementary to high school, in which they give 6 hours of English a week for every level. However, they are aware of the English level of the students in the same group, no matter the school grade or educative level in which they take their classes, since every student has a lower or higher language dominance in English. Having that said, the activities to be developed are focused on the English workbook Complete First for Schools of the third high school year of this institute, in his only campus in Naucalpan, Mexico City, which has a population of 25 students with ages between 16 and 17 years old, who have a language dominance level rounding the B1+ level within the CEFR, the Common European Reference Framework. The workbook has the objective of preparing the students for the acquisition of Cambridge FCE, First Certificate of English, once they finish their mid-higher education process inside the institution, but a certain problematic has been identified from a semantic point of view, as it is the absence of activities that include homonymy as a subject for English students' preparation for the second language acquisition, as well as the obtention of the desired certification. Theoretical framework. Based on the information we consulted, we agreed to define homonymy as a semantic and lexical phenomenon that involves not only a coincidence in its written aspects, but also in the phonetic ones. Although they can be written and pronounced the same, they can be related separately by written and phonetic aspects, and that implies that we can categorize homonymy in absolute and partial. In other words, a homonym is a word that is identical in form with another word, either in sound, as a homophone, or in spelling, as a homograph. According to our research, we identified 6 types of homonyms. The first one is the complete, full, or absolute. Those are homonyms that have the same pronunciation and have the same spelling, such as the word bank, referring to the embankment, and bank, which is a place where money is kept. Partial homonyms are those that are exactly alike in pronunciation but differ in spelling and in meaning, like the words there as a possessive adjective and there as an adverb. Word homonyms are homonyms where all the forms of a paradigm and its collocational possibilities are identical. Thus, there aren't any indicators of their belonging to one word or the other. These ones are generally found in words belonging to the same part of speech. For example, seal and seals. Seals is the plural of seal, which is an animal, but at the same time, it is an impression placed on something to legalize it. Homonyms of word forms. These are homonyms in which only a few word forms are identical. Generally, the canonical forms in addition to some forms are alike and some others are not identical. For example, lie, that means not to tell the truth, becomes lied in the past and past participle, while lie, that means to rest one's body, becomes lay in the past. When the homonyms belong to the same part of speech, they are called lexical homonyms. The difference is only in their lexical meaning. For example, trunk, that is a part of an elephant, and trunk, a storage chest, and both words are nouns. When the difference between homonyms is not only confined to the lexical meaning, but the grammatical types are also different, they are called grammatical homonyms. In these cases, the words have similar canonical form, but different paradigms and structural patterns. For example, the word cut can either function as a verb, a noun, or an adjective. As previously mentioned, there also are homographs, which are words that are written in the same way but have different meanings, and may or may not be pronounced the same. Well-known examples of homographs are lead, which is a metal, and the verb lead, which means to guide. The term heteronymy is used for words that are identical in spelling but different in pronunciation and meaning. Examples of heteronyms are dove, which is a bird, and dove, the past tense of dive. Wind, that is a noun and it's the air that moves quickly, and wind, it's a verb which means to twist something. And finally, tear, it's a noun and it's a drop of fluid that comes out of the eyes, and tear, it's a verb that means to rip something apart. Many linguists agree that the homophones are two or more words that sound alike but are written differently and have different meanings. Examples of homophones are through and through, side and side, and these four words which are all pronounced right. Now that the problematic of the semantic phenomenon has been identified in the selected workbook and the phenomenon has been described, we will move on to explaining the learning theory, as well as the methodology in which the developing of the activities will be based. Cognitivism is a scientific discipline opposite from behaviorism, which focuses on the cognitive processes and has received the influence of the technological and communicative advances of informatics. Cognitive theories emphasize on the knowledge acquisition and internal mind structures. They are dedicated to conceptualization of the learning processes of the student, and they take care of how the information is being received, organized, stored, and located. Learning binds not as much with what the students do, but what they know and how they learn it. Knowledge acquisition is described as a mental activity that implicates an internal codification, as well as structuration process from the student. Here, the student is seen as a very active participant within the learning process. Information processing theories will rule the activities to be developed in this writing. They focus on the form in which people pay attention to the events of the medium, codify the information they need to learn, and relate it with the knowledge already possessed, storing new information in memory and recovering it when needed. Teaching method. Presentation, practice, and production (PPP) is a modern teaching technique used by professional schools around the globe. In a lesson inspired by this sequence, the rule is presented and then it is reused in a very controlled context through specific drills and finally applied on free productions. This is the same for both young and adult people on English language teaching, where presentation is the beginning or the introduction to language learning. In this section, the teacher must link precedent knowledge with antecedent knowledge in order to reach a correct subject comprehension. Practice is referred to the process that enables the progress from the earliest stage and until the last one. Over this section, the teacher watches the students perform activities in which the mistake degree will tend to disappear because the instructor supervises and observes the correct development of the proposed exercise. And last, production is a culmination of the learning process, where the student uses language freely, both vocabulary and grammatical structure, and stops from only learning it, they make it theirs. So it is that the teacher builds a natural and logical environment from a new knowledge. His exhaustive participation is crucial. Pedagogical proposal. Our hypothesis is that the third-year high school students of Colegio Ángel Matute will be able to understand homonymous words, their differences, and their pronunciation in context through the proposed didactic activities. For the proposal and design of these didactic activities, an analysis of the book Complete First for Schools was carried out to identify its shortcomings in relation to the semantic topic chosen to guide the proposed activities. On the one hand, the book does not include any exercise related to homonymy, although its focus is directed towards the enrichment of vocabulary for the obtaining of the first certificate of English for a level B2 according to the MCRE. Certainly, the book has sections where learners or certification candidates can find words that are commonly confused at a pragmatic level, but in spite of this, vocabulary practice is not sufficient or constant throughout a lesson or a unit. Taking into account that the book does not have any activity focused on pronunciation nor on the chosen semantic topic. Once this analysis is done, we intend to solve the problem according to the book's deficiencies from a semantic perspective by making a proposal of pedagogical activities to work on homonymy in each lesson in an effective and useful way for the candidates and learners. The three activities were based on cognitivism and PPP methodology and are focused on developing the acquisition of homonymy vocabulary with the help of English language abilities, listening, writing, and speaking. In the first stage, presentation, we have a reading along with an audio that intends to make students identify homonymous words. The reading presents a short story that contains homonyms throughout the whole text, so that with the help of the listening, the students can recognize which words are pronounced the same and then proceed to underline them. In the practice stage, students have to match the homonymous words they identified in the previous activity, with cards with a picture that responds to those words in a memory game. Students have to be cautious and pay attention since both homonymous words will be presented, and they have to make pairs finding the word and the picture related, not the two homonymous words. Finally, in the production stage, working in pairs, students have to create a piece of writing that will be fully coordinated, and then perform it in front of the class in a role play, where they will have to use the homonymy vocabulary that was presented and practiced before. In conclusion, this research about the homonymy phenomenon, the teaching method, and the learning theory allows us to understand the purpose and approach of the didactic activities as a complement to the chosen workbook. In the same way, this proposal is useful to present students with an innovative way of learning vocabulary from a semantic perspective, as well as students manage to identify these homonymous words in contexts that can become a problem when testing their listening comprehension during the certification exam or in a casual conversation. On the other hand, these activities can also be used by the teacher outside the classroom for more advanced levels as a complement to their class or curriculum independently of the textbook to provide more knowledge about this semantic phenomenon to the learners. For further information, you can consult the references we checked. And also, if you want to take a look at the memory game we designed, I'll leave you the link below in the description of the video. And that will be all. Thank you very much for watching.